What is cracking? Big dogs. Welcome, Bike, to the channel. Welcome, Bike, to the headquarters. My name is Nicholas. This is BDGE. Big dogs gotta eat. You could see it plastered everywhere. The other thing that's plastered everywhere right now is COVID. COVID-19 has infiltrated the NFL. Okay? We're going to get into all that. We're going to get into the week 4 waiver wire targets. We got bunk bed breakdowns out very early this week on Monday, which we did a full game-by-game recap. So this live stream, which I'm usually doing on Tuesday or Monday, I usually do like a full recap along with the waiver wires throughout. This is going to be more waiver focused because we already kind of did the recap. But since we got a whole lot to talk about when it comes to this COVID shit. So I tried to throw some graphics up in here and I tried to get all artistic and shit with it. So just bear with me if this stream is just wildly out of control. Sort of like last night's stream. Shout out to anyone that streamed with us on Monday Night Football. That shit was fun as hell. We're probably going to start doing like one a month where we set them up like that. When the exciting games happen, whether it's Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, make sure to tweet at us and like leave a comment in this video what games you want to see us stream. And we'll try to do that. We had Stevie One Chains come by as special guest referee for the stream. Shit was a whole lot of fun. So shout out to anyone that joined us. Shout out to anyone that is rolling in right now to join us. We're up to almost 300 people. So that's pretty fucking cool. We only have 17 thumbs up right now, though. Wildly disrespectful. The ratio there is not good. It's like a Penn State frat party. Throw a thumbs up if you're in here, baby, and you're ready to roll. Okay. I'm not really ready to talk about COVID, but we have to. This is what we know right now. These are the big facts of the situation at hand. I want to make sure my mic is on. We're testing, we're good. Yeah, we are. Cool. Because yesterday I unfortunately watched the Podfather stream for about 30 minutes with his mic muted, and it was a tough scene for him. Hilarious for anybody that was in the comment section and watching, but tough scene as a fellow content creator. You never like to see that happen. I've done that many, many times before where I film a full thing for like an hour long and I realized I wasn't recording or my mic wasn't on, and I'm like, literally, fuck this. I'm deleting my YouTube channel. I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm going back to work at fucking Home Depot. Okay. Enough bullshit. Let's talk. Let's talk that talk. So we have, I believe, 3 Tennessee Titans players tested positive for COVID. We have 5 personnel and staff. As of right now, a lot of things I'm sure are changing as you're watching this throughout Tuesday and into Wednesday, whenever you guys end up watching this. That is what we know. We have 8 positives. They have shut down the team facilities, as well as other teams are being notified that the games may be rescheduled. Okay? We don't know as of right now. I'll keep checking Twitter as I'm streaming to see if we get any new updates on if they're dropping the player names on who have them, et cetera, et cetera. But right now, we don't actually know the players. But the way you have to prepare, okay? So we have this tweet from Mr. Andy, thankfully. Jason Lacomforna said, the NFL has alerted the Vikings and Titans, their opponents for week 4, that their games may be rescheduled. Titans, Steelers, Vikings, and Texans, okay? So Andy threw a just in case at the end there. The way you're going to have to prepare for this week is that you're not going to have those players. I have no fucking idea if they're going to play these games, but I know they are not opening up the facilities until Saturday at the earliest, and things could get very messy very quickly just for this week. You know, we saw the MLB hit with a big case, right? The Marlins got hit early into the season, and at that point I was like, fuck. Like, as soon as that happened, I was like, football's not going to happen, huh? But we've controlled it pretty well, and up to this point, the NFL has done like a fantastic job containing it. But, you know, I guess it was kind of inevitable just because there's so many moving parts here, so much logistics behind this, so many players, and just the overall sheer number of people involved in the fucking process of getting an NFL team onto a field and a game happening is just, it's too high for something like this not to have happened. Unfortunately, it happened early on in the season. So you have to go into tomorrow's waiver wire preparing not to have players in, again, the teams would be the Titans, the Steelers, the Vikings, and the Texans. So you're looking at Ryan Tannehill. You're looking at Jonnu Smith. You're looking at Derrick Henry. Some people would be playing Corey Davis. Maybe A.J. Brown was going to be in the game for the Steelers. You have Big Ben. You have Juju. You have Deontay Johnson if he's back from concussion. Maybe Eric Ebron. Maybe Chase Claypool. James Conner. For the Vikings, you obviously got the big, literally 2 players on their team. But no, Kirk, Thielen, Dalvin Cook, and Justin Jefferson, who I'm going to get into deeply in a minute. And then the Texans. You obviously have Deshaun Watson. You have Will Fuller, maybe Brandon Cooks. You have David Johnson. So there's a lot of players to be weary of. And what's going to make this so difficult, is even if you opened IR COVID spots for these players for the year, right? Like in most of my season-long leagues, we agreed to open up like 10 IR COVID spots. And a lot of the platforms made sure that they adapted to it, and they allowed this like IR COVID rule to open up so you could actually have specific players that have that designation fit into those spots. But I don't think these players are going to get that leeway unless they're actually the ones testing positive. So what this is going to do is probably flip the bye weeks of these teams if they do end up canceling the games. Again, I don't know if it's going to happen, but you have to prepare like it is, because if you don't prepare like it is and then it does happen, you're going to be sitting there with like fucking duds in your lineup. And what makes it difficult is you're probably not going to be able to put these guys on the IR, okay? You're probably not going to be able to put the guys on the IR because they're not in the COVID IR, right? They're not on COVID IR. So they're going to have to sit on your bench, and you're going to have to get fill-ins for them that you weren't preparing for onto your roster. So hopefully you expanded your roster. Like for E-Town Get Down, we expanded our roster to 20 active roster spots, and we added the IR spots. That was something you should have handled preseason before the season started. And if you didn't, you're going to be in a world of hurt. You're probably going to have to drop some questionable borderline guys if all 4 of these games or these 2 games get canceled. All 4 of the teams can't play this weekend. And there's a lot of speculation of how they're going to move the games, who's going to play when, and I'm not going to get into that because I have no fucking idea what they're doing. I think like most of them have week 7, 8 buys, so maybe they can move the games to then. But again, I don't know. I'm sure they're going to try their hardest to make sure that the games happen this weekend and that everything can go as scheduled. But we saw the MLB get through this, and I think the NFL will be fine. But this has opened the floodgates, man. And this is what we were preparing for all season. So you have to know going into this waiver wire, you have to prepare as if you are not going to have these players for this week. And that fucking stinks. Let's talk about some pickups. And most of them are coming by way of injury. Again, like I'm not going to get into every single player that you could possibly pick up, because at the end of the day, wide receiver 3s, flex plays, they're a dime a dozen on the waiver wire, and anyone can fill in off the waiver wire and put you up like 6 to 7 points. We're talking about the overarching story of the waiver wire for this week. And in my opinion, it comes by way of 2 different running backs. Okay, we have first Chris Carson getting injured. Motherfucker took his leg and acted like he was running out of the store with it. He tried to do a little barrel roll as if it was like his baby and fucking run away with it. Says it wasn't dirty. Mike McCarthy, like, who the fuck are you fooling? They act like we don't got cameras everywhere to see what he did. The guy's a C word. I'm not going to drop the C word because I dropped it like 48 times on the stream last night. I'm trying to clean up my act for the children out there. Now, Chris Carson gets hurt, and it's a minor knee sprain apparently. A minor knee sprain. And we actually don't know if he's going to miss time. I think I've heard a few reports where he's likely to miss this week. And that sucks because they're playing against Miami. But, again, they're optimistic that it's not a serious injury, so they should have him back sooner or later. The thing that makes this a little bit tricky is they play Miami, and then they play Minnesota, and then they have a bye. So if he's going to be out for this week, there's a possibility that they sit him for the 2 weeks, get him that extra rest a week for the bye, and then have him back after that. So that has to be considered when you're looking on the waiver wire for a guy like Carlos Hyde, right? We have Carlos Hyde, we have Travis Homer who fill in. And I think they're probably going to use the combination of them, but I don't even know how fucking valuable. You want to own pieces of the Seahawks offense, but Russell Wilson like doesn't let the running backs have value right now. And it's a testament to how beautiful the Seattle offense is running right now. Like, they don't get inside the 5-yard line, inside the 10-yard line, because Russ just throws touchdowns from outside of it. He's like, I'm not even going to give you a chance to pad your rushing stats in the fantasy aisle. So, realistically, that might be like some hyperbole, but it's actually happening, right? He's just throwing fucking daggers like a ninja from 40 yards out. It's a beautiful thing, but not for fantasy running backs. If you're choosing between the two, we can go back and look at how the game played out last week when Chris Carson went down, or just the game in general. By halftime, we can look at the snap counts. It was 21 to Chris Carson, 9 to Carlos Hyde, 6 to Travis Homer. So we were still getting a variety of snaps. By the end of the game, we had Carlos Hyde and Travis Homer playing on the same amount of snaps. Both played on 16 snaps. Homer ran routes on 11 of the plays, and Hyde ran 8 routes. So I think we'll see a combination of Carlos Hyde being the early, this is not fucking groundbreaking. This is not news to anybody. If I had to take one of them, it would certainly be Carlos Hyde. I think Travis Homer is probably worth rostering, just given the fact that the Seattle offense is playing at a ridiculous level that you just want a piece of. If you weren't able to get Lockett or Metcalf, I guess fucking throw something at Homer. So I would put a lot more on Carlos Hyde because, again, like, this offense is so good that you don't know. Like, he could just luck into 2-3 touchdowns next week because this Seattle offense dictates those opportunities as a possibility. So Carlos Hyde's the guy you want to go for here. But Travis Homer, if you're in a PPR league, is going to get some run on the team. And he's a pretty good runner in itself. He's athletic. He's got size. He's someone that can be utilized, from the slot, out of the backfield as a passing back, and run the ball. He's got speed and everything. So I think both are worth rostering, but I would put Carlos Hyde ahead of him. Both San Francisco 49ers, all three of them are worth rostering at this point as well. You have Jeffrey Wilson, kind of lucking his way into a huge fantasy day last week, and mainly thanks to Raheem Mostert's out with this MCL sprain. And now you have McKinnon dealing with a rib injury. Though it's not expected to be serious at all, I would say that's 50-50, probably better odds that he'll end up suiting up in week 4. But as usual, let me get this tweet up for y'all. Let me save it. As usual, Twitter said it best. I can't even read this. There you go. So Jeff Wilson walked into a couple touchdowns on Sunday, 1.7 yards per carry, but McKinnon doubled his snaps, tripled his routes. They get the ferocious front seven of the Philadelphia Eagles in week 4. For what it's worth, 8 of Wilson's 15 touches occurred on the team's final drive while leading 29-9. McKinnon had 1 touch in the final quarter, and his 17 touches yesterday were his most since week 11 of 2017. As you can see, McKinnon out-snapped him, out-touched him, out-everythinged him. And McKinnon is obviously the better back in this backfield. But this backfield just produces at such a high level for fantasy running backs that Wilson is absolutely worth rostering given the health of this backfield. And I don't know if we've had any real updates on Raheem Mostert's knee. I believe this was supposed to be a 2 to 4 week injury. We've seen guys with the same injury return in 2 weeks, and we've seen some in 3 weeks. So we'll have to keep a close eye on that. I'm not even going to try to be guessed, to be honest with you. It says Raheem Mostert and George Kittle will be evaluated on Wednesday to determine the status for their game. So he seems like someone who's kind of going to be limited throughout, and then maybe a game time decision. If all 3 of them suit up, then Jeff Wilson probably has very, very, very little value in this game. Especially, it's probably a game where he's going to average 2.5 yards per carry. So Wilson is he's a good flex play if one of the 2 running backs sits. He is kind of unstartable if all 3 of them are playing, but worth picking up. Any of these guys are worth picking up at this point. I don't know. Jerick McKinnon is definitely not available on your waiver wire, but if for some fucking reason he is, same thing with Darrell Henderson, who looked fantastic. I actually made a move in E-Town Get Down last night while we were live streaming. One of my friends in the league, Joe, was in the live stream with us, and he was putting in the live chat. He was like, Nick, I just sent you a trade. It's probably fucking terrible. And I looked at it. It wasn't terrible at all. It fit my team perfectly. He offered me, because in E-Town Get Down, I kind of just nailed my wide receivers. It was Lockett, McLaurin, Adam Thielen, Will Fuller, and I got D-Ball on the IR, and then I have Sanders and Eckler at running back. And that's really it. Behind them at running back, I have James White, Zach Moss. It's a shit show. And I was like, fuck, I need a running back real bad. So he sent me Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers for Justin Herbert. It's super flex league. I just picked up Herbert and Tyler Higbee. And I already have Travis Kelce in my tight end spot. So for me, I don't need those 2 guys. I don't need Higbee, but I kind of needed Herbert as my quarterback 3, because behind Cam and Tannehill, I only have Jeff Driscoll, who's not going to be fucking playing anymore probably. I don't know if he's getting benched or not, but if he's not, Jeff Driscoll low-key streaming quarterback this week, despite how terrible he looked in week 4 or week 3. So here is what I'm thinking about with sorry, fucking Animal texted me, and then I started going on tangents. That like preface didn't even make sense to what I was talking about. So I traded those 2 away because I didn't really need them for Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. And Darrell Henderson's probably going to pop the fuck off this week. And I'm excited to have him as my running back 3. So I'm going to throw him into my flex. I'm very excited about the trade. Just thought I'd update you guys. 3-0, first place in E-Town Get Down. Everything about to be ruined by COVID, but I'm the de facto champion if everything goes downhill from here. Talking about the Niners, though. As we said, Kittle's going to test his shit out. He'll probably be back soon. Debo, coming off the IR this week, but it's probably more likely he plays in week 5 than he does in week 4. That's a much more realistic timetable. And unfortunately, like a guy like Debo is coming off such a long injury stretch. Like once maybe he'll return to the field in week 5. He'll probably get like 50% of the snaps or something, and then next week maybe 70, and then like 90 after that. So it might really be like 4 weeks before you can even throw Debo into your lineup, and that means Brandon Ayuk needs to be a pickup this week, right? He basically did on Sunday against the Giants. I mean, like anyone can literally do whatever they want to the Giants, like a lawless fucking sex dungeon. Did whatever they wanted to against the Giants, and he did what we were expecting Debo to do this year, right? And it's because Shanahan just has a type, man. And I tweeted this out like in April. In 2019, Debo Samuel, number 2 among all NFL wide receivers in yak per reception. Number 1 in yak per rush. George Kittle, number 2 in yak per reception. Brandon Ayuk in the NCAA among 200 wide receivers. Number 3 in yak per reception. So Uncle Kyle got a type, as I said. And Brandon Ayuk fits that Debo Samuel role. Man, when this offense is at full steam, I'm like excited to see how it plays out between Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle, because I'd imagine like all of this is setting up to kind of just hide Jimmy G. And Ayuk had a big game. So he went 5 for 70, led the team with 8 targets. But more importantly, like Debo, got involved on the ground, 3 for 31 and scored a touchdown. So a very, very big fantasy game for him. The thing with Ayuk, though, that he's not my number 1 pickup this week, because with Debo coming back, with Kittle coming back, like, where does he actually fit into this offense other than like a really good real-life playmaker? Fantasy-wise, I don't see him getting more than like 3 to 4, maybe 5 design touches per week. So while I like Ayuk, I'll probably temper expectations. And that is because my expectations for this other rookie, here is my number 1 pickup of the week. Justin fucking Jefferson. Bro, JFJ. I mean, I guess it would depend on how your team is built. If you're really desperate for running back, maybe you target a Hyde above a Jefferson. But if we're talking about, like, the reason I don't want to talk about, like, long-term wide receiver 3, flex wide receivers, like, I can sit here and talk about, like, Cole Beasley and fucking Scotty Miller and things like that, who I think are good pickups. But, like, I want guys who are really going to move the needle for your team. And, yo, I was so impressed with Justin Jefferson. I went back and watched the Minnesota game this morning before I got into this, because obviously he put up the monster numbers. I'll tell you what kind of vibes I got from J. Jeff watching that game. I got very, very big Terry McLaurin rookie vibes from Justin Jefferson after watching that performance that he had on Sunday. You add in elite college production, you add in first-round draft capital, and you add in the fact that, like, this was the first time that they actually played Justin Jefferson in a full role. In weeks 1 and 2, he was playing clearly behind Olabisi Johnson. He had like half the snaps and half the routes run that Olabisi Johnson did. And in week 3, they finally gave the keys to that wide receiver 2 role to Justin Jefferson. He not only jumped Olabisi Johnson, but Chad Beebe jumped Olabisi Johnson too. And Justin Jefferson played on 78% of the snaps. He ran a route on 90% of Kirk Cousins' dropbacks. Now, again, like, the athleticism of Justin Jefferson cannot be understated. He's got enough size to play on the outside and do it successfully. 4.43 speed at 6'1". Burst score. Like, you are going to be wildly impressed with what you saw from Justin Jefferson if you go back and watch his game. And, like, it shouldn't be a surprise because he was on the IR COVID list in the summer, right? So he missed a lot of they didn't have a lot of time to get together to begin with physically as a rookie, and he missed more time because he was on the IR COVID list. He struggled for a little bit, and that was his breakout party in week 3. And now there's no looking back. There's no turning back. He finished the game, led the team with 9 targets, 7 for 175 and a touchdown. You could take away his big touchdown. You could take away, I think it was a 71-yard bomb, and he's still finishing with 6 catches over 100 yards. Here are the things that I took away from watching the game. Kirk Cousins, almost every time he dropped back in this game, and if you're a Vikings fan, you could probably concur with me on this. Almost every time he dropped back, Justin Jefferson was his first read. It was weird, bro, because you get that with Thielen, but he was looking at Jefferson. And Thielen caught 3 balls. One of them was a design screen. One of them was a broken play. Like, he was really not looking at Thielen at all. He had one deep shot to Thielen where he saw him in on a one-on-one, but otherwise, those like 7, 8, 15-yard targets all went to Jefferson. He was the first read, and it was crazy, man. And I don't really need to say anything else other than this tweet, which I put out this morning. And make sure you are following me on the Twitter, @Nick_BDGE. Justin Jefferson, the 3rd youngest receiver ever to have 175 or more receiving yards in a game. In totality, it's been done by 515 receivers. Not 515 receivers, but 515 instances of it happening. Juju was the youngest to ever do it. Mike Evans was the 2nd youngest. And then you got Mr. Justin Jefferson, the 3rd youngest player to ever go over 175 receiving yards in a game. Next up, Randy Moss. Juju also gets back in there at number 6. I really was blown away by Jefferson, man. I don't have a lot of guys that like pop off when I watch them on film, but Jefferson's game this week was like as impressive as I've seen in a long time, and that's why I'm excited about him, because I legitimately think that that he could be like a needle mover for the rest of the season for you. I think that I should have listened to a lot of you guys probably know Brett Coleman, and you probably watch his YouTube channel, right? He's really good breaking down film, and he's just awesome. Great YouTube channel. Go check him out if you haven't. And he DMs me sometimes, and we talk about fantasy, and this is something he said back on August 24th. He was talking about Justin Jefferson. He was like, make sure that you draft him everywhere as your wide receiver 5. I say this with full sincerity. He'll be their wide receiver 1 by Thanksgiving. He is that dude. He is Keenan with better hands, big fucking trust. I should have listened to him then. And now I'm regretting it. I've been sending out offers for Justin Jefferson. I waited to tweet out some of the things I wanted to tweet out about him because I sent offers in dynasty leagues before I did it. And that's the problem with doing this fucking job, is that not everyone in my league watches my shit, obviously. I don't expect them to, but some people do. And I rarely ever get dudes that I like at value, or when I send trades out, like, they're always assuming like, oh, Nick's trying to fucking finagle me. Nick's trying to fucking score one under me. You know what I mean? I could never get good value on fucking trades. Typically. Shout out to Snap for C-Mac in the dynasty. You can go fade me. So I wanted to wait because, like, they're all going to know I love Justin Jefferson now. Cat's out of the bag, and I can't fucking get him anywhere. God damn it. So I fucking hate doing this. But I don't hate Justin Jefferson, man. And I know, listen, in redraft, you're not going to feel good about throwing a rookie wide receiver into your lineup right away, but he needs to be a priority waiver wire pickup. And the Vikings passing schedule over the next, 10 or 11 weeks, someone want to do the math on that, is unbelievable. They get Houston. They get Seattle, Atlanta, a bye, Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago, Dallas, Carolina, and Jacksonville. Like, the only semi-threatening defense on there is Chicago. Otherwise, it's fucking wheels up. Like, every one of those teams is letting up a stupid amount of points. None of them are highly rated in PFF coverage grades. None of them are highly rated in terms of Football Outsiders pass defense. Like, this is a team where, you can go out and buy Adam Thielen based on the schedule, but I really think some of the target share is going to start funneling over to Justin Jefferson. And I think if you can get him in redraft, if you can still get him, I would buy him high right now in Dynasty, because he's only going to continue to get better and be a bigger part of this offense. So I've talked enough about Justin Jefferson. They just needed a second piece of this offense to stop forcing funnel targets to Adam Thielen. As much as I love Thielen, like, Justin Jefferson, man, Brett said it, big fucking trust. Big trusts. A lot more injuries on the front. Dallas Goedert has a fractured ankle, and this is going to be anywhere from like a 4 or 5 to 8, 9 week return timetable. He's going to miss some time. That's what they said. Same shit, different year for the Eagles. You remember the second half of 2019? They didn't have Rager. There was no Djax. It was no Alshon. Now it's no Goddard. So wheels up for a high-end tight end 1 for Zach Ertz. If you drafted him again, you kind of lucked into it. But here we fucking are, disproving everybody again for the 7th year in a row. This is great for Miles Sanders. Him and Ertz are probably going to see 10 targets a game. Alshon Jeffrey should be back on the field practicing in a limited capacity, but I'm really not about to tell you to do what you want with Alshon Jeffrey. I'm not excited about him. And Deshaun Jackson obviously pulled the hamstring, and we have no idea what the severity is. They say it's not a big deal, but like anytime Deshaun Jackson pulls a hamstring, it's like fucking basically season ending at this point. Now, Greg Ward is the kind of interesting pickup, and I literally start this video off talking about how I don't want to waste my time on guys like Greg Ward, but saw 11 targets on Sunday, man. 11 targets. And when you look back at last year, like he didn't get on the field for the Eagles until week 12, and then from week 12 to week 17, 6 games, he saw games of 7 targets, 7 targets, 9 targets, 9 targets. They're extremely low ADOT and like low efficiency targets, but like volume is king, I guess, right? Some shit like that, they say. Greg Ward, you could do worse than him because clearly he's got some chemistry with Carson Wentz, and they're just so banged up on the weapon side of things. And then you have these other wide receivers. You have like Chase Claypool. If Deontay Johnson misses time, more times than not, we see players come back from concussions like within a week. So I'm not gonna say I expect Deontay Johnson to be on the field, but like if you're kind of like flipping a coin here, and you can get excited about Chase Claypool. I guess he's looked pretty damn good, and he played a lot of snaps on Sunday, right? After Deontay Johnson left, snap counts: Chase Claypool 61, Juju 58, James Washington 49, and the God Ray McLeod a big whopping 3. In your deep best ball dynasty leagues, make sure you get fucking Ray. Now, but for real, Chase Claypool I guess is like a stash, and you know. You could look at Chase Claypool and you could look at like a T. Higgins and say like, you know, why are you so excited about Justin Jefferson being this rookie who can have some upside and not Claypool and Higgins? But in my opinion, like neither of those guys actually have wide receiver 2 upside in their offense. Justin Jefferson has the clear path. He is a wide receiver 2 right now, and I almost think he's going to be a 1B by Brett said like Thanksgiving. And Claypool, like if Deontay Johnson's healthy, he is not. It's Juju, Deontay, Claypool, like best case scenario. In Cincy, yeah, I mean maybe you can make the argument that Higgins is going to be. He's not over Boyd. He's not over AJ Green. Listen, I know AJ Green has not looked good, but we're not going to start seeing T. Higgins play over AJ Green. And one of the reasons that we probably should have expected a down game from AJ Green is because of the coverage of Darius Slay, man. Now, Darius Slay has actually low-key been kind of lights out for Philadelphia Eagles, and I want to jump into, this is a tool that I've showed you before, but like the player profiler wide receiver cornerback matchups is like a super, super epic tool. And Green was going against Darius Slay this weekend, which pretty much should have told us to kind of fade him, and they usually, where was it? It was literally just here like 2 seconds ago. I guess they're making some updates, but they had Darius Slay listed right here. They normally have the cornerback matchup for that week, and you can go back to like game logs and look at it. And Darius Slay has the 4th best coverage rating per player profile right now, right? Like most of the time you got to get the cornerback matchup shit via PFF, which is behind a paywall. But thankfully for player profiler, they have all the info here. So he's been very, 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 very good this year. AJ Green, a tough matchup. And then Tyler Boyd is going against like, I don't even remember what that dude's name is. Nickel, Roby, Coleman, whatever. You know what cornerback I'm talking about. He's got like 3 first names, and you could like interchange them, and it's so fucking easy to mess up. Who has like the 110th best coverage rating on it. And we should have expected a bigger game from Boyd. And, you know, if Green is not who Green was, you know, if Green is not AJ Green anymore, and he's going against a guy who normally would be like a good matchup for him in Darius Slay, who's ranking out as a top 5 cornerback, he can't win that battle anymore. So you should expect the targets to be funneled elsewhere. So one of the things you should be checking when you're talking about wide receivers is the wide receiver cornerback matchups on Player Profiler, man. A lot of the times when wide receiver ones take the heat off of, and this is also something that we're going to see with Justin Jefferson, like Jefferson's going to see a much more easier coverage against secondaries because Adam Thielen, like no teams are going to start covering Jefferson as if he's the one, unless he really blows the fuck up. But they're going to be covering Thielen as the one, and Jefferson is going to be the lighter coverage. So, like, make sure that you check out Player Profiler and type in players' names and cornerbacks' names to get, like, a realistic point of view for where, for, you know, what type of matchups we're getting on a week-to-week basis. Now, we have the rookies, man. I'm super excited about Jefferson. Claypool's fine. T. Higgins is fine. Cole Beasley's been low-key pretty good. And John Brown has the injury. And let's see if we've got any updates on John Brown. Johnny. Stephon Diggs looks like he's taking a shit on everybody who faded him. Wasn't good. John Brown was held without a catch on 2 targets in the Bills' Week 3 win over the Rams, missing most of the second half with a calf injury. Let me search it on Twitter. On the Twitter. John Brown. It was like, you type in John Brown on Twitter and like 72 non-football related things. It's just too common of a name. John Brown, change your fucking name. I guess technically Smokey Brown, right? Now, so no update on it, but the calf is something to worry about. That's something that lingers. We saw rookie Gabriel Davis put up a pretty good line, 4 for 84, but Cole Beasley is going to be super involved in the passing game, which is clicking on all cylinders. So he's, wide receiver 3-ish flex play. If you're, housing a guy like John Brown who got hurt. And, I don't hate Andy Isabella, man. He looked really good in Christian Kirk's absence, but they just will not get this man on the field more. And Adam Leviton kind of just like blew this up on Twitter and kind of nailed all the thoughts I had for it. Like, Isabella scored 2 touchdowns on Sunday, but saw only 4 targets. 26 snaps. He's still running behind Larry Fitz. He's still running behind Keyshawn Johnson, even with Christian Kirk on the field. Andy Isabella has been targeted 20 times in his NFL career. He has turned that into 15 catches, 303 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Like, get this man on the fucking field. So he's someone I'm looking to stash because I believe in Cliff Kingsbury as a head coach. I believe that he knows what he's doing on the offensive side of the ball. And I believe that a coach who knows what they're doing will put a guy like Andy Isabella in because he's explosive. He's been wildly productive. Every chance he gets, he turns it into good. Turns it into fucking goodness, man. It's Willy Wonka on the goddamn football field. So Isabella's a stash. Not someone I'm, just by the snap counts, like, listen, he's still like a 50% snap guy with Christian Kirk on the sideline. So get excited, stash him, but we're not playing him yet, all right? We're not playing him yet. Let's talk about some defense. Defense. Okay, there are not a lot of good streaming options this week. We have the Rams. They are actually owned in less than 60% of leagues, so you could still pick them up. They're at home against the Giants. And Daniel Jones is just turning the ball over at an absurd rate. He's fucking got a higher turnover rate than like an entry-level fucking business job. 12-point favorites. The LA Rams, 12-point favorites with the Giants traveling across country, beat up on offense. No Saquon, probably no Sterling Shepard. Like, it's just a slam dunk. If the Rams are on your waiver wire, you play them and you don't think twice about it. The other team is the Packers, man. The Packers are going against the pathetic. I can't believe there are actually Falcons fans out there. That's wild. It's wild that y'all would do that. Packers are 7.5-point favorites. They're also at home. You really need to say no more. Like, do the Falcons have Julio? Do they have Russell Gage? Like, question marks at best. So they're my under-the-radar streamer that it's going to be way more available in leagues than the Rams. So I like the Rams first. They're not available. I like the Packers if you're getting a little bit desperate. And listen, I know a lot of you guys are going to ask, like, what about the Broncos on Thursday Night Football? But, like, while the Jets are the biggest sorry to all you Falcons fans, but the Jets are the biggest embarrassment probably outside of the Falcons. Jets are the worst team, but it's not as embarrassing as what's going on in Atlanta. Fucking stupid Falcons fans, man. So while the Jets are in shambles, Denver is too. Like, Denver is probably equally as in shambles. They are so banged up. And here's a tweet from Benjamin Albright, like one of their closer beat reporters. Where you at? Yeah. So the QB's out. The QB2 is benched. Philip Lindsay's out. Cortland Sutton's out. Their entire offensive line is fucking in shambles. Their entire defense, more importantly, is out. Like, it is a massive problem for Denver, and this is why I'm not jumping on them. Like, listen, they're only like 3-point favorites against the Jets, and they have to travel to New Jersey to play. And they might be starting the third-string quarterback. So, like, that's not necessarily going to be great for the flip side of things. I'm not going to fault you for starting them, but I'm not actively pursuing them like a lot of people. I honestly might prefer the Jets defense. I like streaming teams at home. I take that back. Do not play the Jets defense, but you get the point. You get the vibes that I'm giving out here when it comes to the Denver defense. I would rather just not play anyone in this matchup and just not watch the game, to be honest, and watch it on fucking Game Pass the next morning. That's how I'm looking at this game. It's not good for fucking NFL. Honestly, it's a really smart business move. Like, they just take the shittiest games, and everyone knows Thursday Night Football is all shit. It's all fucking absolute shit product. But you brainstorm, you say, how do we make our shit product one of the highest rated games of the week? How do we take a weakness and make it into a strength? You put it on Thursday Night Football. What other ratings is that game going to get? 0. So you take the worst fucking game, you put it on Thursday Night Football, and you take a weakness and make it into a strength. Business 1-0 motherfucking 1 right there by the NFL, man. They're greedy and they're cunts. Sorry, I couldn't go full ep without saying it. But they're smart, okay? And unfortunately, we have to pay the fucking price for them being smart. We're like consumers with just no choice. We're like Apple consumers at this point. NFL might be running more of a fucking strict shop than Apple. You got no choice. You got to buy phones without headphone jacks. You got to buy fucking laptops that don't have USB ports anymore. So you have to. It's fucking out of control. It's out of control. Here at Big Dogs, we would never do that to you. Okay? So I'm going to plug my shit now. Patreon. Patreon.com. That's where you're going to get our weekly rankings. Where's the box? If you sign up on patreon.com/BDGE, not only are you getting our in-season weekly rankings, we'll be updating our Dynasty rankings dropping October 1st. So in 2 days, you have completely revamped new Dynasty rankings between myself, Mike, and at FB God. You'll get in-season weekly rankings. You'll get our Dynasty rankings. You will get our Waiver Wire article, which is going up. It's more in-depth than the bullshit that I talk about in this video. That'll be going up officially as soon as I'm done with this. So within the next half hour, if you are a Patreon, the Waiver Wire article will be posted, which we do every week. You will get access to the Q&A live stream where I answer your sit starts and shit on Saturday. That is only available to Patreons. And then you get access to our Discord channel, which is on and popping at all times. A lot of fun in there. I hop in every now and then to talk some shit, but everyone in the community kind of just keeps that afloat by themselves. It's a beautiful, beautiful premise. So that's all I got for Hoodie Nick. Make sure you go sign up on patreon.com/BDGE. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. I really would appreciate some more thumbs up, because right now we got a 4-to-1 ratio. We got 1,200 of you beautiful, beautiful souls in here and only 250 thumbs up. It's disgusting. It's atrocious. I did this whole thing muted, didn't I? It hurts my soul. If you're on the podcast listening afterwards, also a rating and review would be fantastic. All right. I love you guys. I love you guys. And I'll see you. I'm recording. So we did bunk bed already. We did bunk bed breakdowns on Monday, which usually comes out on Wednesday. And I'm recording the Breakout Finder podcast with Ryan and Nate Liss tonight on the Roto Underworld radio airwaves. And I was thinking about putting that up. As Wednesday's piece of content. So you could either listen through their podcast, or I'll probably put it on YouTube at some point tomorrow. So I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but as always, Thursday's Fade the Public episode is going to be fucking amazing. We got snacks to basically cry. There were some tears involved. And then Friday, as always, you'll get my rankings video. But if you want my rankings, patreon.com. And Saturday will be the live stream. All right, I'm out. I love you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.